Okay, this morning I need my magic mind because of the time change. I woke up, I'm like, what? It is late. What the hell happened? But Scott was wonderful. He let me sleep in and I came out in my fuzzy blanket and I got my magic mind and he made me breakfast. I am the luckiest woman on the planet. My boyfriend makes me breakfast every single morning. He makes me eggs and he alternates. He alternates from, I guess you call them over easy eggs over the toast. And then the other day, then it's scrambled with various fun things from the fridge. And I am just so blessed. I've never had this ever. He also loves to make me dinner. We all know that I'm not the best cook, but I have a couple recipes. But the universe knew damn well what to provide for me in the most ideal man. I'm so blessed. And I'm also so happy. And I know Magic Mind also has all the different, I can't remember all the words. I'm so bad. I'm sorry, Magic Mind. But all the things that make you happy and energetically in the flow. And I feel it. I'm just a happier lady when this is my morning ritual. So, as I've said before, there is the company's wonderful. They've given a code so that if you want to try it, I think it's 20% off. And if you want to get a subscription, which I encourage, like give it a couple months to see how you do, but I swear in a couple days you're going to feel it. But anyways, there's a larger, I think it's 50% off code if you want the subscription. So that is that. And I believe with the theme of the podcast you're about to listen to, feeling the feels, it's easier to feel the feels when you have energy. It takes courage to feel the feels. It's easier when your energy is in a flow rather than a chaotic caffeine state to feel the feels when you really are scared, mad, sad, anything other than just already happy. When your body and your being is supporting you, it gives you bravery and courage to take that breath, to take that beat, to be present, to honor your truth, to slow down and listen to your wisdom. And as in last month's podcast where we talked about little you, to just like place a hand on your heart or a hand on your belly or wherever that energy is arising in you that's like, I'm scared. This podcast talking about feeling the feels will really take things to the next level for you, I hope, so that you see the benefit and the beauty and the gift. Your feelings aren't bad or wrong. Your feelings are here to help guide you to your deepest truth, your widest expression, your most exuberant life, which is what I want for you. So enjoy this podcast as we talk about feeling the feels.
Welcome to Intimate Conversations. Become the one. Intimacy is an inside job. Hello and welcome to Intimate Conversations Season 12, Become the One. This season, every single month, we're going through a theme based on my 10 Allana Prep Method processes. And this month, we're talking about feeling the feels. And I've asked my social media team to gather questions from you so that I can directly address where you're challenged and help you get to the other side. So as I look over at the questions, the first one says, Allana, why do people bypass? So maybe we should even define that before we get going, like spiritually bypassing. The question says, it totally annoys me when they pretend they're over it, but clearly they're not. Yeah, I call this like sprinkles on top of the ice cream cone of shit, or fakey face, like, oh no, I'm fine. It's all love and light. And we know damn well that they're not over it because they still get triggered. That's how you know you're bypassing, is that the situation still triggers you, bothers you, takes you off center. You give away your power. You go into blame. You go into avoidance. You react. That's how you know you're bypassing. And why do people bypass? I agree. It can be annoying because you're not present. You're not in the moment of reality. You're not slowing down to drop into your body and feel what's really going on. Most people that bypass, me included, we leave our bodies. We can call it disassociation. as this is, we can call it bypassing, but being in the body where the emotions are happening is just too fucking intense. And so people leave, abort, avoid, disconnect. Let's just go on social media. Another glass of wine is looking pretty good. Or even a workaholic, or even living through your children. It doesn't have to necessarily be a negative addictive behavior that we do when we bypass, although it can. It's just a way to have that sense of calm, but you're dead and you're fake and you're bypassing, which I suppose on some level to the ego is better than feeling out of control, feelings that you don't know how to solve. It feels maybe like a respite, like a bit of a temporary solution. So why do people bypass? Because they're scared. They're not evil. I suppose there could be evil people out there, but in terms of this, they're scared and they feel out of control because they don't know how to feel better. They don't know how to integrate an emotion. They don't know how to ride the wave of intensity all the way through to resolution. They feel stupid. They feel terrified. They feel out of control. They feel afraid, and maybe humiliated and embarrassed. And they don't want you to see them anything other than perfect. Maybe the only way they got love, if we could call it love, which it really isn't, but is to be perfect and to have it all together and to look good. And maybe anytime that they slow down to admit, feel, share, be transparent or vulnerable, they were judged, they were mocked, they were told to snap out of it. Boys don't cry and girls are better seen than heard, or whatever they heard growing up. So I would invite compassion. People bypass because they're terrified. And no one has taught them that feelings are normal and natural and the path to evolution. And if anything, they've been taught the opposite, that when they feel a feeling, probably because the other person isn't comfortable with it, they judge them, project onto them, make them feel bad, wrong, guilty, etc. So they actually think bypassing gets them love. They might even think bypassing gets them connection. Clearly it doesn't, because they're not even connected with themselves. But the motivation is fear. And so if that could give you a sense of empathy or compassion for them, I get that it's annoying because they're not there and you want to connect and they're not home. They're not home in their body. Bypassing can also have an air of arrogance. Well, I'm over that. What's wrong with you? It's your wound. It's your problem. It's your issue. When you're actually the one being present and feeling and being authentic, they might not be able to do that. So they might feel superior by bypassing, and that can hurt. That can hurt you, and definitely be annoying. One tool that I think most people don't even know, and we'll go into more of these questions about feeling the feels, but instead of bypassing, if you catch yourself bypassing, so I guess we'll go the other way first. If you catch another bypassing, you're not going to get them to feel because they've already left their body. They've already decided that it's too scary, it's too much. And so don't try to push that or judge that. You're not going to get anywhere. You don't have to like it. You don't have to prefer it. But if you could be an allowance of it, and just bless and release them, that'll probably go better. If you are the bypasser yourself and you notice, oh my God, I now actually, I'm not in it bypassing. I can actually observe myself bypassing. Oh, I can actually feel I'm doing fakey fake. I can feel it. Generally, this happens within 3 minutes on, I call them intimacy breakthrough experience calls. When somebody does a discovery call with me to see if they're fit to come into the program and do coaching and work with me, generally it takes 2 or 3 minutes before they're crying, because there's something about my energy when they do fakey fake, when they do bypassing, where they go, oh my God, she sees it, but she's not judging me. Oh my God, it's safe here. And so the part of them that left their body goes, oh, maybe I could get back in my body. And they come back into their body and they start to feel that which they've been avoiding in a safe sanctuary. It's kind of like I'm the banks of the river, and they can just be the river and they can be received without judgment. And I'll say, have you ever considered, or yeah, what's that right there? That, because I can see it well up. I can see the emotion well up that they push down and leave. And I go, let's just let the tears talk. Or what are you feeling right now? Or what's the body sensation? However I invite them in, they have an experience, sometimes for the first time ever, or at least in a excuse me, in a long time, where they're not judged and they can just be with it. And while my intimacy, excuse me, breakthrough calls are not coaching calls, they often become a mini coaching session where I show them that they can do this. They don't have to abort. They don't have to bypass. They can be brave, courageous. They can trust their body. They can surrender to the experience, the emotion, and it will pass. But not just pass and go away. When a feeling is fully integrated, you are actually stronger on the other side. You have more capacity on the other side. Whatever that experience was meant to give you wasn't just for cognitive analysis of a situation. It was to help you grow and evolve the ability to sit in the fire, keep your heart open, and live more fully in life, to be your most authentic self. So even at the end of an initial discovery call with me, intimacy breakthrough experience call with me, they'll be like, whoa, this is possible. I'm like, yeah, this is possible. One gentleman I just talked to this past week, I asked him at the beginning of our call, what was his intention? And he didn't really have one. He goes, I just sort of want to check you out. And I'm like, okay. And at one point, we were talking about something, and I was sharing what an honor it is, because working with me, I get the level of trust you've got to give. And that's hard when you don't even trust yourself. I said, I realize you're giving me your heart to hold. You're giving me your soul to guide. This is a big deal. And I take it very seriously. And as I said that, the level of authenticity, he started to cry, well up with tears. And he goes, I didn't know it, but that's actually what I wanted out of this call. I wanted to know that you're real and you're kind and that you've got my back and that you care. I remember another gentleman who, he hasn't signed up yet, though. The other one did, but this one hasn't yet. Halfway through the call, there was this moment where he very much doesn't trust women. And I'm going to say sort of is bypassing doing the work and just hoping he'll just find somebody great without having to do any work. And we all know that's not going to happen. But I was like, I saw a similarity in him to another client who really pushed me, because his wounds were around his mother. His wounds were around the feminine, not trusting the feminine, being emasculated by the feminine. And I said, oh, you remind me of such and such. And I told him a little story about that, of how first he only started with the intro program, but then he wanted more coaching, but then he decided he trusted me, and then he went into the inner circle, and then he decided he trusted me more, and he went in to do some PSIs with me, psychedelic somatic integration with me. And but it's almost like I had to earn the right to go that deep with him on his timeline, not mine. And just keep showing up in integrity, keep showing up with patience, keep showing up with clear coaching, and yet softness. And as I was sharing this with him, he had this like beanie on his head, and he pulled it down over his head, so it was just even over his eyebrows, and he was looking at me. And he looked about 5 years old. He's clearly in his 40s or 50s. And I was looking at a little boy, and there was silence, and I didn't feel it. And I said, your soul is deciding whether it can trust me, huh? And he's like, how'd you know? I'm like, so that's what it looks like in a relationship. In this case, a professional coachee relationship, what it looks like when we stop bypassing and we drop in and feel, and we notice, is the other person going to kill us off or not, judge us or not? They don't. Drop in a little more, feel a little more. It's exquisite. It's exquisite. It happens on coaching calls all the time, group calls, private calls. It happens clearly all the time on the PSI weekends, happens on retreats. It does break my heart when we get to a certain place within a year. People work with me for a year, and clients don't renew, because that next place of surrender, the next place of growth, that next place of self-ownership, that next place of, oh, I need to stop bypassing. They're not ready, and they don't renew, and they do the fakey fake face. They do, no, everything's fine. No, really it is. But we both know they're not getting the love they desire. They're not in their body. They're not being honored by who they're dating. They're not having the devotion that they've demanded, and they've decided to settle. And then I suggest that we're not there yet because we're not where they say they choose to be in the agreement we made for their soul's evolution. And then they do the bypass thing. They go, no, it's good enough. It's good enough. Sometimes when you're in so much pain that when you just get to status quo, mediocrity, settling, it is a lot better than the hell of absolute pain. And yet we're still not thriving. We're still surviving. And so sometimes clients return. Sometimes it takes them like 3-4 years. But they come back and they're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. It hasn't gotten any better. You're right. It did get worse. You're right. I was bypassing, and I don't care. I don't need to be right. I just want to shine them the light. I want to be the mirror and show them. So I don't want to give them a fish. I want to teach them to fish. So it's wonderful when they do say, I miss the community. I miss the level of straight, authentic, no bullshit safety every week. My life is remarkably different because of that. I'm able to fake it. Most people still don't call me on it, but I haven't ascended. I haven't gotten through this. I haven't gotten to the other side. Shall we begin again? And I go, yes, let's take the next step. Let us begin this next year together. And the community is so non-judgmental. They're like, oh my God, we missed you. This is so great. And the whole community just up levels because someone said, okay, I'm willing to stop bypassing. I'm willing to start telling the truth and feel what I am terrified to feel. And they know that I got them. The whole community's got them. So next question. How do I know if I'm truly feeling or not? Feeling it all or not? Getting to the raw depth of the true emotion. How do I know? Until we are in our body, we think we're in our body. I mean, I can feel my body. Like, aren't I in my body? No, a lot of times. I'm feeling for like 3 seconds, just like a little tear will come. I see it clear as day because I'm on the other side, and this is my expertise and my genius. You're feeling when you get all the way through to an internal feeling of relief, home, wholeness, quiet. Your mind is still. Your heart has stopped beating so fast. You feel a confidence from the inside out. Nothing needs to be different. The situation doesn't need to be different, and you're still feeling great. You're still totally okay. You're calm on the inside. That's how you know you felt the feeling all the way through to the other side. When you're not feeling the feeling, it'll come up. Terror will come up, panic will come up, sorrow will come up, anger will come up, rage will come up, something will come up, shame will come up, some feeling will arise, and you're aware of it, and you're aware, oh, no, little too much for me, and you could physically like shake it off, or you could do some deep breathing, or you could go into your mind and go, no, I'm fine, it's good, I'm good. You're conscious that you've pushed it away. You haven't surrendered to just let it annihilate you, have its way with you. Like, you still want to be bigger than the feeling. You still want to be in control of the outcome. You are still like navigating where the hell this is going to go. That's how you know you have not felt it all. And on the other side, you're not going to feel that sense of oneness with all, complete peace, unattachment. You're not going to feel any of that. You're still going to have your hypervigilance going. You're still going to have your awareness going, and don't lose control, and definitely look good and say all the right words and this kind of thing. So that's another way of knowing that you haven't gone to the depth of the emotion. I'll give you 2 examples, one at a retreat, one at a PSI. And this happens on a weekly basis, which is so beautiful. I'll give you 3 examples. One, she's our photographer for our retreats, and she's also a client. And she's brave. This woman is brave. And on group calls, when something comes up, she will feel it all the way through. She also leads retreats on her own. And at our last retreat, there was an opportunity where I was taking care of actually my boyfriend, and she stepped in to have my back with another facilitator. And it was like an initiation for her. And she discovered she is capable of facilitating for others as well in a magnificent way. So she's badass. But what I respect about her on these group calls, I mean, it's one thing to feel your feelings. It's another thing to feel your feelings in front of just me, one coach. It's a whole other thing to feel your feelings in front of the community. And yet it's such a gift because as soon as one person is vulnerable and feels, everyone else feels right along the way with them. And then they have permission to feel. And we go farther than we could ever go on just a private call on these group calls as a result. So she will feel all the way through, and I will help her track through the body what's going on, and the wisdom on the other side. So quick. She's phenomenal with. So that's one on a group call. I'm thinking of a retreat several years ago with another client who was rock climbing and didn't put her safety in properly and fell. And I think she had 19 operations or something like this. She broke pretty much the lower half of her body. She was in a wheelchair. And what she hadn't felt through, even though we'd done a tremendous amount of private work and group work, when we were at the retreat, she still couldn't forgive herself. And what she was enraged. Most of the time she'd feel sad, hopeless. What's the point? That was normally the emotion. But the anger at herself that she hadn't felt through yet was, as we said here with the question, how do I know if I'm truly feeling or not, feeling it all or not, getting to the raw depth of the true emotion or not? I knew she hadn't gotten there. And we were interacting one-on-one in a group situation live at a retreat, but she wasn't totally going for it. And often we think, oh, who am I? I don't want to take up time. Like there's all sorts of excuses we make, and some of them aren't even excuses. We honestly want to be fair and make sure everybody has a turn, all the rest of it. And I was like, no, we're going for this. We're going for this. I knew she could do it, and I knew this was the time. But what I did is I asked all the men at the group to hold her so she could lean on an angle, and I became the part of her that she hated. So I stood in as the part of her she hated, and she was facing towards me, leaning towards me, and all these men were holding her so that she could lean so far and really get in her body and allow that amount of rage. And I asked the men to also yell with her so she didn't feel weird or alone or the only one yelling. I said, guys, be inside her, in as in through her and with her, and yell at the part of her who let her down, who didn't put the safeties in, who's responsible for not being present and caring and protective, and let her fall, that part of herself. I need her to unleash. And I didn't take on her anger. I received it and put it down, received it and put it down. So this is another distinction. When someone in front of you is having an emotion, if you don't like it, you often resist it, which makes the emotion stick to you. But if you receive it in a state of allowance, which is, I'd say, heart open, no resistance, you listen, you get it, you understand it, you receive it, but you don't take it in or take it on. You put it down and you say, what else do you have? Right? I became this for her. And so she expressed all of her anger and rage. Oh my God, how much she hated herself. And I think I said things to maybe egg her on a bit, just to be sure we got every last bit. And then when that was done, she sat down and I climbed into her lap, kind of like you would in a tantra partnership. So my legs were over hers, and I got right up close to her. And then I started apologizing as if I was the part of her that had let her down. I'm so sorry that I didn't put in the safeties. I'm so sorry that I'm the reason why you had 19 operations. I'm the reason why you're still in pain today. I'm the reason why you were in a wheelchair all that time. I'm the reason and I just kept saying, I'm so sorry. How can you ever forgive me? And we together were sobbing. We were going to the depths all the way. And I truly felt what it was like to be that part of her. And by the end of that incredible experience, and we hugged at the end, she felt a homecoming of that part of her into her. But we had to feel through all of the anger to get to the true forgiveness and the mercy. And the pain didn't go all the way away, but it went down significantly because the pain in her body was telling her there's unprocessed emotions at work here. Yes, there was physical pain from all of the operations, but the emotional pain got integrated that day. And not only that, everyone else part of that experience, holding her when she was upset, surrounding us when I was asking for her forgiveness, everyone moved the dial on where they're angry at themselves still, where they haven't forgiven themselves still. So everyone evolved together. That's what's so epic about these retreats. Someone at the last retreat said, Allana, this isn't even a retreat. This is like a portal of transformation. And it really is, because people in my community know that when one grows, we all grow. When one forgives, we all forgive. When one ascends, we all ascend. Like we really are more together. And that was an exquisite example of getting down to the true depth of emotion required for freedom to be on the other side. The last example I'll give you was a client at a PSI weekend, a psychedelic somatic integration weekend. And one of my skills over time is that I can see where people are doing their coping mechanism. I can see where the blind spot is. I can see why they haven't integrated. I can see where they're bypassing. And so she was lying down on the bed with the mask on, and she would lean back, and it would get so dark and so awful. And I always say, I'm right here. Take me with you. I've got you. Take me with you. Let's allow this. And that is how we integrate. We need to get out of the way, trust body, trust the partnership of body and medicine to facilitate the homecoming. And not, she couldn't stay there long enough. She would abort. And literally I would watch her sit up, and her head would start to talk. She wasn't in her body, but she'd say all the proper spiritually clever things to say. Oh no, it's fine. And I get it. And it's all for me. And I'm really grateful. And I'm just like, no, you're not. You're completely lying to yourself. And I go, oh, there's the thing. I go, let's inhibit that. Let's inhibit this coping mechanism, this bypassing. Let's lie back down. I got you. Let's lie back down. Hours, maybe two and a half hours, lifetime after lifetime, emotion after emotion, pain after pain, sorrow after sorrow. She said it was like a quicksand of hell that it felt like she was tumbling through. Brave woman, felt through it all until her autonomic nervous system got all the way back to still point, to zero. And then no shit, not her head sat her up. Her whole body was animated by the divine, by light. Her whole body, it just sat up. She's like, oh, now I'm in my body. I get what you said. I thought I was in my body. I wasn't. I'm embodied. I can feel spirit in me. Oh my God. And the whole room was like bright light. You could almost swim through it. There was so much incredible high vibrational energy there. And she got it. There wasn't the spewing of everything she was supposed to say. She just was. That was it. I just am. Everything is. I'm like, exactly. This is what home is. This is what true embodiment and integration feels like, looks like, tastes like, smells like. And then from that way of being, from that level of ascension, I asked her all these questions of things that have been challenging her in her life. But when you're there, when you're home, when you're integrated, all the solutions are right there. It's if you're looking through the eyes of the divine at the situation, because the divine is in, as, and through you. So you literally are looking at the situation with the eyes of the divine and your own unique genius, your own unique point of view. And so she's like, well, I'm like, bingo. I knew she was integrated because she'd never, ever in her whole life, like decades, ever had that point of view, ever had that ability, ever had that capacity, ever had that knowing, ever had that awareness. So that's how you know. So you might need a third party. You might need someone on the outside like myself to, in coaching calls, group calls, retreats, PSIs, someone who is a few steps ahead, not better. I'm not better than anyone. I am a few steps ahead of a lot. And I have my coaches and facilitators that are ahead of me. And we're all in this together. You might need someone to lovingly, gently, but with absolute clarity and certainty, show you where you're bypassing, show you where you're aborting, show you where you're saying all the right things. But the reason why you keep getting triggered, that's the main telltale sign. If you keep getting triggered, you're not integrated. So there's more work to do. Third question, Allana, how can feeling through the pain of heartbreak actually catapult my growth? It just feels like torture. What's the point of that? Okay, that is so funny because yeah, it kind of is torture just for a little bit. And I will say though, the resistance is the torture. There's no avoiding the pain. It's like the suffering and the torture is in the resistance to feeling. But once you just get out of the way and you surrender and you trust body and you allow the body sensation, you allow the body movements, you allow the screaming, the crying, you allow whatever the body wants to do and the emotions want to do and the body sensations want to do and the body positions. If you just get out of the way, the torture dissolves, the suffering dissolves. It's painful for a short period of time, and then it's over. And then you're home. And then you're magnificence itself, embodiment itself, knowing itself. It's extraordinary. So how can feeling through pain of heartbreak actually catapult your growth? Okay, so I'm going to give you a bunch of different examples here. Catapulting growth. It is not just torture. What's the point of that? Okay. So I'm thinking of a client whose marriage was, I'd say good. And then it got wobbly and shaky. And then it got to, if you don't stop drinking, we're done. And so it was for him, the first time that we did a PSI weekend, I'm going to say it was torturous for a period of time for him until he let go. And he started to feel through the pain of the loss, the death of his mother. Resisting feeling the pain of the death of his mother was torture. As soon as I said, let's allow that, let's feel that. And it was maybe 30 seconds here, 60 seconds there, 90 seconds there, various waves that he'd feel through. As he began to surrender and feel through, and he sobbed tears that he never sobbed at 10 years old, 15 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old. Like he just never felt them. He would just drink. And so once he felt through decades of sorrow, we got to a place where he found self-hatred, that he had blamed himself for her not living. And then we felt through that self-hatred, self-loathing, suicidal ideations of like, well, there's no point for me being here. If I couldn't save her, I have no right to be here. All of these very, very dark feelings. We ended up doing a series of 3 PSIs over about a 6-9 month period. And he joined private calls as well. And he joined the inner circle group calls as well. And we got to the other side where he actually loved, on his last PSI weekend, he loved taking time for himself. He would never take time for himself because he hated himself underneath it all. He didn't feel he had a right to live. Literally didn't feel he had a right to live. Not consciously, subconsciously. This is what we find when we do the deep processing that I do with people. And so by the 3rd PSI, he was reading through his report of findings. I do these report of findings for every journey I take people through. And it's meant because when you use plant medicine, there is a neuroplasticity that occurs where we can rewire the brain. We can rewire your body. We can rewire you into secure attachment. It's amazing. So if you read through these report of findings, when the brain and the body has more neuroplasticity, it'll go in more deeply. So he was reading through his last 2 PSIs for when he got to his 3rd one, and he didn't resist anymore. And it went dark, death. He faced the angel of death. And by the end of his PSI, he was, water skiing on the lake of death. And he could be with that level of intensity and not resist in drinking, not resist in torture, not resist in self-hatred. Death is part of life. Death is part of life. And he was magnificence itself. He was life and death. He was all. He was the dark, the light. He was birth and rebirth and death. It was exquisite. It was breathtaking. And so did that take some work? Yeah. Did he show up? Yeah. Is he probably going to do another series of 3 at some point? Yeah. Is his marriage stronger than ever? Yeah. Or is his relationship with his boys more present? Yes. Is he an inspiration to the group? Yes. Is it worth it? Oh, fuck yeah. On his last PSI, he wanted to call his wife at the end of it all. And I said, "Oh, I'll just give you some space." He's like, "No, no, no, you can stay. It's fine." And to hear the gratitude from both of them that he is doing the work and it's integrated and he's who he is, and to hear her just admiration and love and gratitude, no fixing him, no putting him down, no ultimatums, just an invitation, love. This needs to happen for our marriage and our family to thrive. Like, to hear them speak. There's a podcast, you can listen to them from last season. Yeah, that's why I do the work. That's one of many, many examples. Another example was at our last retreat in Costa Rica. A couple had just signed up right before the retreat. Normally people have done at least some private work, couples work, maybe a PSI before the retreat, but they signed up right before. So they were fresh and new and not in a good place, not in a good place. He was so disheartened that there were suicidal ideations. She was so disheartened that she would just go to bed halfway through the day and just start watching Netflix. They were so disconnected. They were hopeless, but enough hope to give it a go, give it all they've got, invest at a VIP level to both of them do PSIs, come to the retreat, meet the community. So brave beyond measure. Like, what do they say? It takes a mustard seed, just a mustard seed of willingness. And to watch them. So the question is about feeling through the pain of heartbreak. Can it actually catapult growth? It was a fucking miracle. My facilitation, my co-facilitators' facilitation, the community's facilitation, the energy of the high vibration of the energy of the group that I hold in paradise in Costa Rica, put it all together. Oh my God. She got back in her body first. So we disassociate when the pain is too great, right? When the pain of heartbreak is too great, we leave. She got back in her body first. She felt through the pain first. She got back in. What did she say? Because he's had her back, but she hasn't had the capacity to have his back. But she was back in her body. She's like, she was saying to her husband, "I've got your back. I'm a badass bitch." And we're just like, what? Who is this person? Because the day prior, literally the day prior, she was like, no, I'm not going to go ziplining. I can't. I'm not going to go swimming. I just don't have the energy. No. So the next day she's ziplining upside down. And he just can't stop crying. He's looking at his wife, who's now present. She's here. And now it allows him, because his attention was always over there, trying to help her, fix her, save the situation. She's now solid, on the path to eternal lasting solidity, but the most solid he's seen her in 20, 25 years. And so now it's his turn. He doesn't have to like help her. She's standing up. So, okay, now he can. And so now he begins to feel the feels, and he begins to feel through the pain and the heartbreak. He begins to feel through how hard it's been for decades. And now he's becoming alive and becoming aligned with what really matters to him, and getting out of the rat race. And what is he creating? What are they creating for their future? It was exquisite. So was it torture for a short period of time? Well, for them, it was torture for 25 years. 25 years. Yeah. When you resist and haven't been guided through how to feel the feels in an effective way, you will live in torture. You will leave your body and you will do behaviors that you're ashamed of, which then, amplifies the torture, because not only are you feeling pain, now you're feeling self-hatred and guilt and shame and all these other things too. And so when we begin to have the expert facilitation that I've been trained to provide, and you move through those first, what feel like terror, massively true, feel like rage, totally true. Feels like sorrow, totally true. The feelings are real, but the prison, the torture, the suffering, that's the resistance of it. In fact, I remember on one of I think it was the morning after, I can't remember when it was, but I was asking questions, and this particular gentleman, he goes, Allana, this is exhausting. This kind of like asking these questions and feeling these feelings, it's exhausting. I'm like, I'd like you to consider actually, it's the not feeling that's exhausting. You're experiencing that you've been holding up Niagara Falls for 25 years. And now you're putting that down and you're sensing, you're feeling, your body's like, oh my God, that's been really hard. That's actually what's exhausting. That's actually what's torture. When you just allow a feeling to flow through, it's done in 30, 60, 90 seconds. We're good to go. And on the other side, we have wisdom, strength, confidence, the ability to surrender, insights, wisdom, awareness. We're amazing. The ability to speak, the ability to let go, all the things are on the other side of feeling the feeling. That's easy. It's actually the resistance that's exhausting. And now he gets it. So they are such an inspiration to this community. And in a very short period of time, took a quantum leap. And now we're doing the integration work. Now we're making sure that this lasts. Now we're doing the PSIs. Now they're on the group calls every night. And it's so beautiful to see them. Sometimes I get people to show up on different Zoom screens when we do dyads, and we break out into the women's group, the men's group, or dyads together, partners. But other than that, they come together and they lie there on the couch or the bed, and it's just, you can just feel the connection. You can just feel the respect for one another. You can feel the gratitude that, the teacher appears when the student is ready, when they asked for help. It makes me cry, happy tears every time. I'll give you one more example, kind of a two-part example of when, how can feeling through the pain of heartbreak actually catapult my growth? It just feels like torture. What's the point of that? My mom has been gone now for 21 years, 22 years. And at the end of her life, she began to do the work, but it wasn't enough fast enough. And the cancer in her liver, where the anger was stored, took her life at 61 years old. And it was a beautiful gift she gave me of the cost of not integrating your feelings, stuffing them away. Your body will catch up. Dis-ease will catch up. And she showed me very clearly, feel the feels, feel the feels. And so fast forward, one of my clients has just got the breast cancer operation, the cancer taken out. And in the beginning, she was a little more bypassy. Okay, just got to get through this. I'm going to get through this. Going to be on the other side. And myself and the community invited, what if the cancer is actually for you, not against you? What if it's a message? And she said, well, it's a message that I failed and I didn't do this. I'm like, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe it's a sign of an invitation to no longer bypass, to no longer put other people first and be responsible for them versus to them, to no longer define yourself by your parents' point of view, to allow yourself to have sacred, incredible sexuality, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe it's actually your ally. And when that point of view shifted, that this cancer experience is for her, and that it's actually saying to her, we need some big, deep, long-term, like you don't get cancer overnight. It grows over a long period of time until it finally shows up. And so it's been saying for a long time in different ways, could we please change this? This isn't working. Could we please change this? But because she hadn't learned yet how to slow down, feel the feelings, and take action, it took this level of wake-up call in order for her to slow down and do the work. And so she is. And she's seeing, oh, this is my ally, showing me all the different ways I can be with myself, be with men, be with my body, be with my sexuality, be with my work, be with my family, all the ways. So now she's not in resistance to it, and she's not letting it torture her anymore, and she's not bypassing anymore. And she's showing up every single week, one step at a time, feeling the feels. She's so good at feeling the feels. She would never feel the feels before. And now, right in the moment, she does it. She doesn't care if she's at work. She doesn't care if she's on a call. Normally, like, oh, no. But now she's like, no, it's actually okay to be a human. It's okay to feel. There's nothing wrong with being a human. It's okay. And so she's becoming quite the inspiration and becoming healthier. And I'm so inspired by her. I'm so inspired by all my clients. So I'm wondering what's been triggered, or where you're like, oh, I'm actually doing that, or where you can say, hey, I am actually feeling the feels, and I am not bypassing. I am slowing down. I am able to be in conversation and not react. I don't need to have an addictive choice to disassociate and to run from these intense emotions. Or maybe you're like, I am doing well, but I need help at the next level. So wherever you are, I hope this conversation was a contribution. I hope you see the value, health, well-being, ascension, enlightenment, confidence, freedom of expression, authenticity, courage, all the benefits of feeling the feels. I hope you get that it's going to require humility, bravery, and courage, and a community and an expert facilitator, because it's just too scary otherwise, if you ask me, for it to go south, go wrong. To surround yourself with a high level, impeccable high level of community and coaching and facilitation as you go through perhaps some of the worst feelings ever. I want to give you a word of caution that if you use plant medicine in a way to only go out to tier 3 and not be in tier 1, so go out and be one with the cosmos and have that high and that amazing feeling that goes away, because when you get back into life, you're still triggered by that situation. It means you haven't integrated on a tier 1 level. And you're actually growing your disassociative self. You're growing your ego. Your transpersonal self, I believe, is what Saj Razvi of Psychedelic Somatic Integration Institute, head of education, calls it. If we keep leaving, if we keep aborting, we actually make this distance worse, and we become dangerous to ourselves and others. Yet if we go, okay, I give. I need to learn how to stay in my body. I need to learn how to feel the unfeelable. I need help. And that will actually resolve things in your marriage, in your relationship, in your body, health-wise, in your bank account and your vocation, in your ability to receive money and love and miracles. If you're like, oh, this is what I've actually been missing. I would love to hear from you. I would love to support you. This is my superpower. This is the gift that I've been giving all of my clients. It's the gift that's been given to me. So I would love to hear from you on my site, allanapratt.com. You can register for an intimacy breakthrough experience. There's also a code as a listener of Intimate Conversations Season 12, Become the One. It will allow you to have a scholarship to have that call with me as well. So look in the show notes for that. And in conclusion, let's all place a hand on your heart, your chest, one on your belly. Let's find where little you is inside the one who's feeling those feels, the one who we may bypass or shove away or disassociate from, and just make a vow to do our best. We don't need to be perfect, but to put something into place, some structure, some system, some community, some coaching, something into place, so that we will not bypass. We will feel the feels, and we will get all the way to the other side to be our best self, for ourself, for our soul, for our relationships, our family, for humanity, for our genius, for what we're here to be and do and give and receive on this planet. Yeah, I invite you to make that vow with your soul now. And I sure as shit love you. Thank you for the honor of being able to love the shit out of you every week here on Intimate Conversations. All my love. See you next week on Intimate Conversations. Get out there and make love to life. Okay, so this is my neighborhood. My boyfriend and I just went over to some friends to talk to them about their kitchen that they're redoing. They wanted to get our opinion of where would we put the fridge and the range and all the rest of it. And so after this podcast about feeling the feels, we talked about this and did this make sense and would this fit and all the rest of it. But it came down to, how does it feel? That's what it came down to. How does it feel to be sitting here while your kids are over there at the island doing their homework? How does it feel to come home and unload the groceries
How does it feel to be prepping before you want to do the barbecuing? How does it feel if each of you are going to be cooking together? It all comes down to feeling. So yeah, sometimes we have to feel through some really tough stuff to integrate our wounds so we can be present, we can know what we know, we can be great listeners to the people who are so important to us. But also all of this integration work is so you can be present with what feels right when you're doing a renovation, when you're hanging out with your friends or your kids. I'm just so grateful to be living a life where I can be in my body, I can be in my heart, I can open my heart, I can do tough things, I can be brave, but I can also feel and savor the joy of kitchen renovations, of having friends over, all the feels. So a couple things. One, thank you for taking the time to really listen to this podcast about where is it time for you to slow down and feel. I want to invite you. I have a program, Become the One Intro. Look into the show notes. There will be a discount, a scholarship just for Intimate Conversations listeners, so that you can go, okay, what is in the way of me feeling more deeply and knowing what I know and being able to trust myself and not waste any time spinning in my head, or avoiding or beating myself up or disassociating. What does it take for me to feel the feels and know what I know? Life becomes so much more flowing and easy and inviting. Even kitchen renovations might be easier when you let yourself know what you know by feeling the truth inside of you. So thank you again. Let's send good mojo to that family as they do their kitchen renovations. The link to Become the One, allanapratt.com/become intro, I believe is the link, but double check over there in the show notes. And thank you for being with us every single week here on Intimate Conversations, Season 12, Become the One. I love you.